Check out this incredible case study where we show you how you take your Google Map ranks from looking something like this to this. How do we do it? Well, it's a simple audit called a false competition audit. A false competition audit identifies fake, old, and keyword stuff listings in Google Maps. Now, for this case study, we took a listing at random. We decided to look at Fooch Financial. I'm probably saying that wrong. Fooch Financial. And we ran a grid scan on 5 keywords that we felt were important to them based on their website. So we have financial planner, investment planning, certified financial planner, retirement advising, and income planning. Let's go take a look at each of these keywords grid scans to get an idea of how they ranked before we did work on them. Let's see, I can open this in a new tab. Awesome. Now, this program is called Local Falcon. This is one of the many grid scan tools out there that can help show you how well you're doing in Google Maps. So here's Funds Financial. For the keyword of financial planner, this is how they're doing. Here they are again for investment planning. Certified financial planner. This is retirement advising. And the last one is income planning. All right. Now, these grid scans were taken today, June 23rd, 2024, at around 3:40. And it looks like they're all 3:39. Perfect. Let me go to Google real quick. What time is it now? It is 7:40 p.m. So these grid scans were taken about 4 hours ago. And in those 4 hours, I was running a false competition audit. So I went through each one of these grid scans and I found listings that I felt were reportable based on a set of indicators. Now keep in mind, listings that are reported through the Suggest Edit feature in Google Maps is nothing more than a Suggest Edit. It is a suggestion to Google saying, hey, I think, for whatever reason I think, this listing should be reviewed and reported upon the suggestion I submit as permanently closed, doesn't exist here, whatever it is. Or maybe I'm telling Google the name should be changed, maybe they moved. I'm a third party, I'm not associated with Google at all, and I'm simply saying, hey, I think this listing is incorrect and it should be X, whatever X is. In this case, when it comes to a false competition audit, I'm generally looking for listings I think are fake, old, or keyword stuffing their name. Fake listings exist to intercept free organic traffic, to redirect to the business and try to resell that traffic. If that business doesn't pay, it'll get redirected to another business that might pay. But if that listing that's trying to redirect all that traffic never existed, then all businesses that are actually legitimate will get much more traffic. Google Maps is nothing more than a sums game. Old listings exist because when businesses move or shut down, they don't necessarily change their listing or shut down their listing. More listings in the system, less market share for actual legitimate businesses that are open. And then when it comes to keyword stuffing, people keyword stuff their name. So let's say Bob's Law Firm versus Bob Law Firm, personal injury attorney, Dallas, Texas, near me. That sounds ridiculous. But the reason why they do that is that personal injury attorneys, Dallas, Texas, near me part is leveraging a weakness in Google Maps because the name is actually a very strong ranking factor. That's why people keyword stuff their name. So if you make a suggest edit against the name, you'll take away that unfair advantage they have against you, and you'll gain more market share that way. All right, So once again, these scans were ran today, around 4 hours ago. Here is what I submitted to Google, and here's what Google so far has accepted right off the bat, which is pretty cool. You know, there are a few expectations we want to set before we continue further. One is no one can guarantee the removal of any one listing or even the change of any one listing in Google Maps. The only people that can guarantee that is Google themselves. Anyone else saying, I guarantee you that with my powers of the world, I can have McCabe Wealth Management removed, is lying. We'll never say that to you either. What we will say is, based on a set of indicators and past data, we can say to Google that this listing has certain traits about it, such as it has no information on the listing, there's no images, there's the listing is not claimed, there's no hours, it's just not filled out. Like, that's weird. There's no website. Everyone uses websites. Everyone has a website. If you're any kind of business, you know how important a website is. So if a listing doesn't have a website, that's weird, and we'll report you based on that indicator. So these are all the listings in the last 4 hours. So we saw, once again, I started around Mediascans 3:39. I actually began auditing at 4:37. Yep. So here are the listings that I've been reporting these last 4 hours. I'm just going to scroll through all these just so you can get a glance for the case study. And just because, once again, just because I submitted it doesn't mean Google's going to accept it. Also, just because I submitted it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Now, we do our very, very best to ensure anything we report is actually an accurate report. We're not in the business of reporting listings that are not doing anything wrong. At the same token, it's simply such as I said it. So we could, by mistake, say McDonald's is closed, and Google would turn around and laugh at us because they know it's opened. But for moral reasons and for ethical reasons, we don't purposely make any mistake. We don't purposely report any listing that's actually legitimate and is actually a real business. Alright, just scrolling through here kind of quick, showing you what was submitted. And now we're going to do the part that I've been waiting for these last 4 hours. Once again, it is 7:45 now. And these were all ran today at 3:39 p.m. I'm now going to rerun the scans and see what changed. Let's see what happened. This is really the cool part. I'm going to select all these. Let's see. What is the easiest way to rerun these scans? Aha. Run scan again. Alright. And this is live. This is 100% unedited. We're going to see the after effects in under 4 hours. Now, they could be big, they could be small. Generally, Google takes a few hours, if not a few days, to make ranking updates when it comes to listings that are removed. But let's just take a look to show you how powerful this white hat technique is. Now, while we're doing that, let's see here. I want to show you, give me 1 second. I just want to show you that this is truly a white hat technique. What is white hat? White hat simply means it's an action that Google endorses. It's an action that's not against Google's terms of services, and it's an action that's not against the law. So we're going to bring up a Bright local study. We're also going to bring up a Whitespark study. One moment here. as I struggle to find this. Oh, here we go. All right. So let's talk about the Weisbark study. Weisbark back in 2023 did a survey on what the local SEO experts thought were the most prominent things to do when it comes to trying to move the needle in Google Maps. What is the most important things to think about, or the most important actions to take? So we just covered that a false competition audit is the identifying and removal of fake, old, and keyword stuff listings. And number 2 is keywords in the GBP business title. So when people keyword stuff, they are trying to leverage that weakness once again, where Google is going to rank a business better if what people are searching has that keyword in the name. So by reporting that to Google, getting those keywords out of the name, you actually rebalance that listing's rankings to be ranking in a fair manner and not an unfair manner. And then we said fake and old listings. So number 5, removal of spam listings through spam fighting. So that's your fake listings, your lead gen listings, and your old listings. Listings that shouldn't exist in the system. All right. And then let's just talk about Bright Local real quick. So you might think, oh, well, reporting listings is easy, right? All you're doing is going to make a suggest and edit. You're going to click close or remove. Oops. And you're going to mark up the listing how you feel is necessary to mark it up, right? Why would anyone pay for that? Well, unfortunately, only 23% of local businesses spend time reporting spam on Google Maps. More than half of local businesses don't know how to remove spam on Google Maps. And this is where it gets scary. Most agencies, 64%, do not spend time reporting Google Maps spam for their clients. The reason why I believe this is a few reasons. One, the first is at scale, reporting listings in Google Maps is a very tedious task. Our business, Local Business Protection, solely reports listings in Google Maps as a whole business model. And the only reason why we were able to achieve this is because we built software to make the ability of reporting and identifying listings very streamlined. Most companies, I would say almost every agency out there, doesn't have that kind of system in place. It took us over 3 years and a lot of programming to get to where we are today. Now, the other side of that coin is there are a lot of agencies that are part of the problem. They're the ones making the fake listings, trying to sell leads. They're just part of the problem. The most difficult aspect of reporting spam for agencies is tracking or achieving success. So we're going to show you that here today with 1, Local Falcon, and then 2, our platform actually tracks the statuses of any one listing. So here we have a listing that says published. This was because we marked it as permanently closed. We have a platform that tracks all 500 plus listings we just reported, and we'll identify, okay, every day, is this still permanently closed? Did anything else get marked permanently closed? Did anything get marked reopened? We have a whole platform that automates the tracking portion. If you don't have that kind of tracking in place, well, the only other option is manual, and at that point, it's not even worth your time. It's a very time-consuming process. But the after effects of fighting spam is tremendous. Let's take a look at the results. All right, so we have movement. Let's see what we have here. Scan reports. What I want to do is try to find a nice before and after comparison. Let's see how the best way to do this is. Three, 4, and 5. All right. Woo! We had a massive jump here. This is pretty crazy. So, let's see. What is... I want to show you the visual part, not the numbers. Because the visual portion is what's really cool. And it's the most easiest to digest. All right. Cool. Let's do the same here. Give me a few minutes to set this up for you. This is cool stuff. Did I get it all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Let's close the rest of this out real quick. All right. So let's do... Let's do this. So this is the before effect. And how do I want to do this? Before effect. Whoops. After effect. That is, let's see here. Before effect. After effect. Okay. Oh, no, I mixed it up. Okay. There we go. That makes more sense. So on 3/39 today, I ran a scan on retirement advising. This is what they looked like before. 4 hours later, this is what they look like now. So let's go over some numbers. Well, let me set the others up and I'll explain a little more what all these numbers even mean. So let's see here. This is another after. This is a before. This is another after. Here's another before. This is another before. Here's another after. The last after. And here's the last before scan. Alright. So, let me just set all this up. Alright. And then the afters. All right. So what does all these numbers mean? Well, it represents your position in Google Maps. First, second, and third, you're in the map pack. Fourth and below, you're basically not in the map pack. So the most important metric here is your share of local voice. It's just giving you the percentage of nodes that are saying 3, 2, or 1. Just trying to get everything lined up for you. All right. So we're looking at retirement advising. Share of local voice, 5.33%. This was taken at 3:39 p.m. Today, at 7:46 p.m., that's 4 hours later, using our false competition audits, they jumped to 16.57% of share of local voice. That's insane. That is insane. In about 4 hours in the same day, we gave Funge Financial 11% more share of local voice for the entire market of retirement advising in West Hartford. That's crazy. And to give you the more of a dollar value of what this means, let me just pull up another study. Give me one moment. One moment here. Here it is. This is just to show you the importance of each position in Google Maps. So let's say in your area for retirement advising, you get 1,000 clicks a month in the area. That's total for the entire market, 1,000%. When you're in first position in Google Maps, you're getting about 16 to 17% of that market share. So that's, what, 160 of the 1,000 clicks. Second drops to 10% to 12. And third drops all the way down to basically 3%. Fourth and below is basically 0. So that's why people are constantly spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on trying to reach these top 3 positions. And it can take months, it can take years, depending on the competition, and we just did it in hours. Now, before we continue, because I know this is probably going to be really exciting to see this. 1, this is white hat. 2, no guarantees. Everything we did was submitting a suggestion to Google, and it was on Google to decide if they wanted to agree or disagree. So the first big thing is, does Google agree or disagree with our reports? And then the second, do you have the issue? If you don't have any false competition in your area, which is extremely rare, I can't even think of a scenario where that happens right now, because Google Maps is blasted with false competition every day. But if you somehow didn't have the issue, then this case study would do nothing for you because you don't have the issue. But in this scenario, Funge Financial definitely does have the issue. And in 4 hours, they jumped by that amount of market share. Let's continue. So here, we didn't see much of a jump. We did see a tiny shift in a positive direction. We see that about 0.5% more of share of local voice. So that's still progress. It's still in the right direction. Let's keep continuing. Here, there wasn't really much movement at all. This is for Financial Planner. So this is cool. Income planning. When we ran their scan a few hours ago, they had no presence in Google Maps. They now have a little bit of presence in Google Maps. So that's cool because, once again, based off this case study, if you're fourth and below, you're basically zero. So the fact they have a little bit of presence in second and third, they're now gaining some actual market share. That's pretty exciting. And then the last one, Certified Financial Planner. So we saw a little bit of a bump here. In general, they move higher up in the rankings. They're just not entering the map pack just yet. So what this does is we're eliminating all this junk in Google Maps that shouldn't be competing against you. And now you have a much stronger baseline for our SEO efforts. This service is only $59 a month for 5 keywords of your choice per location. And it is arguably one of the most powerful audits you can do in all of Google Maps. Let us know if there's any questions or concerns. I'll leave contact information down below in the description. And have an awesome day. Take care.